right, so I'm here with Jake Fair now. We're at the 2017 Indiana Sectionals. It's been a chilly day. So Jake, tell me a little bit about today, and whether or not the cold makes any effect on your performance.
Well, today definitely it was cold. It was early 40s, when we started. It's gotten a little bit warmer as the day goes on, but it definitely does. Cold's one of those aspects where, in the sport, dexterity and, being able to be warm and fluid with your movement is affected by cold. I always over-prepare. Like today I wore gloves, coveralls, a hat. I had the whole gambit on because I'd rather be too warm and take it off than be cold and lose all that function.
Now, I saw a couple of people even stuffing those little chemical hand warmers in their mag wells. Now, is that to keep the grip warm, or is that to help function the gun?
It's to keep the grip warm.
Yeah.
Like I said, when you got cold hands and your fingers don't move, you're pretty worthless.
Yeah.
So, you can. A lot of people have a little caddy that their gun goes in. You can put hand warmers in the gun caddies. That's kind of interesting, but. Like I said, that the better you are towards normal, the better you're going to shoot. The closer you are to that.
Yeah.
So, most of us aren't shooting this time of year, or the weather's different this time of year.
So one of the things that I was wanting to do with today is to try to show people who aren't so familiar with the sport kind of the difference between the different levels of competition and just the difference in scoring. What's the difference between a 3-hit factor and an 8-hit factor? So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, as you progress through USPSA and you get better, you find out that the small things, really add up to the big things. So, once you get past that whole, I just started and I'm missing targets and I'm having issues, and you start working towards, being a competitor, I'd say the big issues are, foot placement or overshooting position, or, like me personally, I judge my speed off of, my hits on the target. So, if I have 6 Charlies, am I going too fast or am I going too slow? So we always use our scoring on, as a basis for, how fast you're going. And, you start throwing D's and mics, you probably should slow down a little bit. But,
sure.
If you're getting a nice mix and you're feeling good and you're throwing a couple C's every once in a while, you're probably going at your potential, at that time.
So what sort of refinements or what kind of consideration should people make when they're trying to just gain that extra, 1/10 of a second or even a 1/2 of a second?
Well, walkthrough is the biggest part. It's all about foot placement, where you're going to stop, if you're going to stop, or you're going to walk through a target. Having the gun ready when you come around the corner. You're aimed at the target and pushed out and ready to shoot. Little things like that. And there's a million of them. As you start competing on the higher levels, those guys will go in front of me and they'll shoot and they'll be 3 or 4 seconds faster, and it doesn't seem possible until you watch their video and you watch your video.
Sure.
And you'll see that they came around the corner and pulled the trigger, and you came around the corner and were raising your gun up, or little things like that. So when I work on refinement, a lot of times what I do is I watch a lot of video, and I like to see the people that beat me and understand why they beat me, and then that's how I practice.
So how do you think how are you feeling with today's performance?
I had ups and downs. I had a few issues that were my fault. I had a mechanical problem because I didn't go through and make sure things were tip top like I should have. My gun came back from the shop and I had a few things done, and I just didn't check over to make sure they were the way that I wanted them. And then I had a few other issues where I was trying to go too fast, like you were talking about before, and put some bullets in the black, and didn't catch it in time until it was already behind me.
And did you have one maybe a dud bullet in there at some point?
No, I had that's what I was talking about. I had a hammer follow issue because my trigger adjustment was off.
Okay.
So the gun just wasn't resetting itself.
Okay.
So, but as far as getting better, it's one of those things where you have to be in the game, and you have to have mental focus, and you have to perform the way that you plan to perform every time.
Mm-hmm.
That's where not being cold and having everything ready to go comes into play, and just practice in general. This is more of a mental game than anything, because you can walk through a stage a million times, but you have to have your head set and do things exactly like you wanted to do them.
Mm-hmm.
If I take off and I decide on the fly that I'm going to shoot a target array in a different order, that's going to change the entire stage.
Sure.
You know, and a lot of times when you're making decisions on the fly like that, your head can't wrap around what you should do next or where to go next, or that's why it's just a mental thing.
Yeah.
You really have to stay focused,
Yeah.
which I can't do when I'm cold.
Sure.
So
Sure.
that's why I always bundle up.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And pleasure as always.
Yeah, you too.
I'll see you at the next match.
We'll be there.